Got the coffee out.
Thanks for waiting around, everyone. We'll make it worth your while.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone's patience. We got this to work. It's actually my fault. Okay, volume up. This a little higher. Can everybody hear us on that side? Just hit some hearts if you can hear us. Can you hear us? Turn this on. Okay. All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right, what's up, guys? Grab that coffee out. This is the AMZ Secrets Show and your host, David Aladdin. I've built this show to jump past the basics and into the real Amazon core. I look to understand the person, their strategies, secrets, so that all of us can build leaner and better businesses. Today's sponsor is the AMZ Secrets VIP platform, which is full of secrets, strategies, and tools, including the recently launched Product Hunter 2.0. AMZ Secrets guarantees at least 2x in business revenue or your money back. I personally have already 5x my business, and many others have too. Today, we've got a special guest on the show. His name's Nathan Hirsch. How old are you, Nathan?
27.
He's 27 years old, has already built a 5 million year plus business annually, and also is the founder of FreeeUp. freeeUp.com. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I live in Orlando, Florida right now, but I'm from Massachusetts. I was fortunate enough to have a lot of success when I was a young entrepreneur. When I was in college, I was 20 years old. I started off buying and selling college textbooks and selling them to different bookstores for the highest bidder, buying them at the end of the semester and then reselling them at the beginning to help people save money and not get ripped off by the bookstore. And the textbook selling got me involved with Amazon, because you obviously can't sell books without learning about Amazon. And from there, I was one of the first people to be on Amazon when they were transitioning from selling mostly books into toys and baby products and other stuff like that. So if you can imagine now, there's hundreds of sellers on every listing, whereas back when I started, it was like me and 3 other people. So that was it was a lot different than it was today. So I got involved buying different products from Slick Deals and different websites like that, reselling them on Amazon, and I quickly got involved with buying from different retailers and eventually different vendors. And when I was 20, 21 years old, I was running a multi-million Amazon business out of my college dorm room. So it was a pretty crazy adventure. And with that, and what every entrepreneur faces is you run out of hours in the day. So I had to hire my first people. So when I was in college, I had to interview my friends and different people to help my Amazon store. So that was my first experience hiring people. When I graduated and I decided to do Amazon full-time, I moved to Florida. I decided that I needed to not only hire salaried employees, but also hire remote workers to go underneath them. Because if you're paying someone $50,000 a year and they're spending half their time doing data entry work, it's not really efficient for you. So a friend of mine that I met in Florida, he introduced me to Odesk. It's now Upwork. And I was determined to build an Odesk army, so to speak. So I hired and interviewed and learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, fine-tuned my interview process to the point where I had a very efficient team of people, and then assistants to the assistants. So it worked out pretty well. And so what I wanted to do was come up with a way for other people to have the same experience, because a lot of the people I talked to in the e-commerce industry, they've either had bad experiences hiring VAs, or they have never done it before, or they don't have a great interview process, or they just don't know how to communicate effectively from people that are either not in the same building or that are across the country. So I created FreeeUp to be a better way to help people hire remote workers for their e-commerce business, and that's kind of where I stand today.
Okay, I'm gonna slow you down a little bit. Okay, so when you first started your Amazon business, when was like the first time you knew you had to start hiring out? Like, was the workload just unbearable?
My first busy season, actually my second. So my first busy season, I I had a girlfriend at the time. I had finals coming up because I was in college. I was in a fraternity, so I had all that stuff going on. And then I was running this business for the first time, and I had never experienced busy season. And it was me and a part-time person. And we answered every email, filled every order. So it was drop shipping, and we weren't doing FBA, so we had a lot of customer emails and had to survive that first busy season by ourselves. And then come January, it was like, wow, that was insane. I don't even know how I survived. Now it's time to start hiring people and prepare for the next year.
What was the duties of the first virtual assistant?
The first virtual assistant was verification. So we had all these different vendors that we were dealing with. You know, Amazon's catalog is complex and messy. So we would have someone go through that we would pay, I forget what it was, around $4 an hour. And they would go through and check, hey, does this description match this product on Amazon? Yes, we list it. No, we won't, to try to stay on Amazon's good side. So that was the first virtual assistant I hired, and they would pass that file over to my internal worker who would do the pricing and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, very cool. I'm always curious how people are using virtual assistants, because I might use them a different way, and there's just so many different ways I can leverage virtual assistants. I feel like I don't even leverage them enough, just because given tasks, virtual assistants is a task in itself. I'm sure you've seen that before.
Agreed. It's preparation up front, and you have to be prepared, and you have to have a good system for training. But long term, it's incredibly worthwhile if you do it properly.
Do you have like sellers that have a virtual assistant that coordinates a bunch of virtual assistants?
I do. I have these project manager virtual assistants.
Okay.
They cost a little bit more. They obviously have more experience, and the client only wants to deal with one worker, or in some cases two, and then that worker distributes the work and checks up on it to the lower level workers beneath them.
Okay. If possible, can we go into more detail? Like, how much would a project management assistant cost, let's say, on your platform?
Sure. So you have to remember, we offer workers from $5 to $50 an hour, both U.S. and non-U.S. And there's two different clients that work for me, or that sign up for FreeeUp. Some that already have the process in place and they just need lower level workers to put in, and other clients that need more experts. Maybe they're on Amazon, they want to get on eBay, so they hire an eBay expert. So the project managers more come into effect in the first scenario I gave, where they have these processes and they need someone to overlook them. So for a non-U.S. project manager, you're probably in the $8 to $15 an hour range, depending on their experience. And if you want a U.S. person, you're probably in the $11 to $25 an hour range, depending on their experience.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's not expensive for a project manager in the U.S. So, like for civil engineering, project managers go all the way, starting at $50,000 all the way up to like $120,000 for like a principal project manager. But even higher than that, depending on what you're doing.
Exactly, and it really depends on what the skill set is, and it also depends on how well the business owner understands the process. Because the better that the business owner understands the processes, that's when you can really lower the price per worker, because the worker is just kind of learning and training as they go, rather than coming in with all this background and experience.
See, I could see myself like hiring an army of VAs and just having that project manager manage them. So I think the key point is training the project manager, and they would train all the other the VAs. I don't want to say little VAs, but the ones that kind of get replaced more often than
yeah, and we have a lot of huge clients that don't want to do any training, or they don't want to even talk to someone internationally for whatever reason. They don't have the time. So they'll actually train one of my project managers in the U.S., have the U.S. person train all these sub workers, and then that U.S. person might not even be involved that much. He might just be there to check in from time to time, or if there's any additional projects that need to be trained on and distributed.
Okay. My next question is, what do most e-commerce sellers outsource to VA?
Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer, because I have over 250 clients, and they all have different businesses, they sell different products, and they use different software. So it really depends. I have a lot of people that hire the remote workers, not necessarily outsourcing, but they'll hire experts in the US to optimize their Amazon listings or do PPC campaigns at a high level. And then I have other people that it's more data entry, kind of that verification that I was talking about before. You have sellers that are not FBA that will have customer care people getting involved. Other basic stuff is translation services, getting on other marketplaces, bulk uploading. We do a lot with that, and just getting new listings up live. And then that kind of checking and maintaining accounts to making sure that you're following Amazon policies, going through updating pictures, titles, stuff like that over time.
Okay. My biggest thing is like for customer service and customer support is like I want someone doing that for me, but I feel like if I give them customer support, then I have to give them control to my inventory, and then they could technically send out inventory to anywhere in the U.S. And because there's so much stuff going on, I can't really see if they're doing it. I don't know if I want to keep checking if they're sending inventory to the right people. Do you have that concern a lot come up with a lot of your clients?
Yeah, it's a pretty standard concern, and it's not just me. It's if you hire any employee, there's always a risk that A, they mess up, B, that they do something they shouldn't, or steal from you or anything like that. And I mean, I've never had issues with it with my workers. The thing I can say about FreeeUp is we have a very vigorous interview process. And once you're in our network, you get access to some pretty awesome clients. So our workers care a lot more about staying inside our network because they know that if they do anything to violate our NDA, like sharing information from client to client, or intentionally do anything to a client's account, or even just get consistent bad feedback from clients, they're no longer going to be part of our network, and it's a lifetime ban. So they treat your business like it's theirs because they want to stay in the network, and they care a lot more about that than they do about stealing your inventory. So that's kind of the best way that I can put it. And we obviously vet them ahead of time, but it's the same issue. I mean, you can never guarantee 100% that nothing's going to happen, but at the same time, giving people access to your account and freeing up your time to do bigger and better things like expanding your company in the long run is going to make you a lot more money than if you have to respond to every single email, but you make sure that your inventory, there's no inventory mess ups, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and can you go into detail about how would a virtual assistant take over customer support for an Amazon seller?
Sure. So it obviously doesn't apply to FBA because Amazon handles your customer care, although we have people that can deal with FBA in terms of refunds and making sure all the products are actually listed and stuff like that. But on the customer care side, it's the same thing for an e-commerce business. We can help you set it up if you don't have a system in place already. We can help you create canned responses for every different situation, whether it's returns or tracking numbers, stuff like that. Essentially, most of it is via email. You only get occasional phone calls. So we give you someone that has a lot of email, a lot of customer care support, and then the first step is learning your company. So they'll spend some time to learn your products, learn how you want to talk to your customers, because although everyone wants to give great customer care, every client's a little different on their opinion on how their customers should be handled. Mm-hmm. And then they learn the basic templates, how to do the return, the tracking, stuff like that. And then the biggest key is getting a worker that can tweak those templates, because not every return is the same. So they need to make sure, or they need to be able to tweak a template to make sense for that particular situation. And then once they have all these canned response and they're comfortable with the products, then it's about shift scheduling. So a lot of my bigger clients, they need that 40-hour-a-week customer care person who 8 hours a day, they're just responding to every email that comes in. Other people don't need that. They might need someone to check in the morning or at night. A lot of people want a backup customer care person because workers will need days off and stuff like that. So the first half is the training and getting the person involved. The second half is setting it up so that the worker knows when to tweak templates. And then the last part is setting up a schedule so that customer emails get answered quickly and that it works well for both the client and the worker.
Interesting. There's definitely a lot going on between the scheduling of the other, tracking their hours and all that stuff. Do you guys have like a tracking software to monitor how many hours they're putting into your business, or is that just okay?
We built our own software. You can view it on our YouTube channel. I'll also send you the link that you can send out to your followers. It's pretty awesome. When you sign up as a client, you can see any workers that you hire on your end, what their hourly rate is, when they punch in, when they punch out. Our workers are required to leave notes when they punch out. It also does the math for you, so you can see how much you're spending per day, per week. And then on the back end, we have a referral program, and it'll keep track of your referrals, how much you're making, and take it right off your invoice each week.
Okay, here's a good one. What are you using to outsource or outsource a remote worker your business? Because you are pulling in 5 million a year right now, and then plus your current hiring business. You know,
Sure. So
you
on
must
the
have a lot of
Amazon
tasks being
side,
outsourced and whatnot.
a ton.
Yeah.
So on the Amazon side,
Okay.
everything. So listing products, changing prices, customer care, even project managers to manage different workers. We have all of that. On the FreeeUp side, I've got about 15 assistants that do everything from lead generation to my bookkeeping, to HR recruiting, the whole interview process, to just internal stuff. We have 100 workers, so we have to constantly keep them updated with information and make sure that our content stays fresh. I have people running our social media pages if anyone wants to follow us there. That's all international, all being outsourced. They do a fantastic job. Even our blog updates and newsletters, that's all international. And even stuff setting up our website and our ClickFunnels and our Google PPC, it's all experts that I found from around the world.
Okay, so this is actually more of what I want to focus on the conversation, just because I'm actually trying to do this with my business right now. I have about 8 to 10, but they each are very specialized in what they do. And I'm actually the project manager of all of them. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. If I could get myself out of that position and just have another person doing what I'm telling all my VAs to do, I think it would open up a lot of time. So can you tell me more about how you're handling 100 workers, or is it like 100 or 150?
Yeah, we have about 100 workers right now.
Okay.
And we add workers every week, so it'll go up over time. Yeah, I mean, I've got main assistants that I've worked with for a while.
Yeah.
I kind of have that. I have my team of internal assistants, and they help me manage the 100 workers. And then in that team of internal assistants, I have like my core 3 or 4 people that I've worked with for a while that I trust, and it's kind of a filter down. So I talk to my main assistants more than I talk to everyone else. I talk to my regular assistants more than I talk to the 100 workers, and then I'm still available here and there for the 100 workers, but I make it very clear who to direct questions to. So if they have a payroll question, let's just say that someone got paid short or there was some kind of issue with it, and they know not to come to me for every small thing. It only comes to me if it gets escalated. So it's very clear, and we are always sending out constant reminders, like you go to Marius for bookkeeping, you go to Chikian for HR, for policy violations, stuff like that. So it's very divided, and everyone's on the same page, and all the contact information is shared and distributed out. So that's kind of how I run my company, so it filters down and it's very organized.
See, that's all right. So basically what you're saying is I need to find someone like English speaking that's also like really smart, that can handle a lot of the different tasks around the business, that would replace me in a lot of the aspects like social media, Photoshop, and product listing, even search engine optimization. Do you even do like web development outsourced as well?
Yeah, so we don't do any coding, but we do have plenty of WordPress developers. Like we can build Shopify stores, stuff like that. But in terms of actual code, that's not a service that we offer.
How many current ongoing projects do you have internally going on?
Like not for my clients, like for me?
Yeah, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, sure. Good question. More than I can count. So all my assistants, they divide up 2 things. So one is their daily tasks. So they have tasks that they do either every week or every day. It could be creating my newsletter or running certain social media posts, and that gets done every day. And then they've also got these long-term projects that are prioritized. So they have endless long-term projects. They could work 80 hours a week for the next 5 weeks and still have more work to do. They obviously don't do that, and they kind of divide up their week between the short-term and the long-term, and I help them prioritize. And one thing working under me is I stress prioritizing projects over everything else, because I have projects right now that I need to do by January of next year, and I have projects that I need done in the next week. So we divide it out. They know how to work together. If it's a project that, let's say, is syncing our time clock software with our accounting, then it would be my developer and my bookkeeper working together. So they all know the different projects that are coming out. We also keep the 100 workers that are working for clients and not for me informed on the changes, and that's kind of how we go about dividing these projects that are ongoing, and we keep the business so it's always growing. And I tell my workers that if you're not doing something every day to improve the company in some way, then you're not doing your job properly as my assistant. I don't want people that just do the day-to-day operations repetitively. I want people that can do both the short-term and the long-term.
That's interesting. Okay. I'm just trying to think of my best way to execute my VA army. All right. So
and we can help with that too.
Yeah, I actually might reach out to you after the show. Another question I have is, like, let's say you have like 100 people overseas. Is there like a certain threshold where I'm not completely clear on how the taxes work between overseas or even virtual assistants in themselves? They're not technically employees. How does that all work?
Yeah, so we have agreements with all our workers that they're independent contractors, and I leave that up to my bookkeeper to be. I have two non-U.S. bookkeepers that do more of the day-to-day stuff, and then I have a U.S. accountant bookkeeper that handles a lot of that stuff. So that's something that as we grow, I'm working with him on, but he's actually the expert on that more than me. So I try to kind of just follow his directions. Right now, it's paperwork saying that they're contractors, that they're responsible for their own taxes, stuff like that. And our clients are 1099ing us, so we're contracting, we're contractors to them. So they're hiring our company, we're subcontracting the work to independent contractors.
Cool. How did you figure that out?
I have smart people that I've surrounded myself with. It's not all me.
So they're hiring your company to work so that they could work for you? Is that how?
No, I'm sorry. The clients are hiring my company as a vendor.
Oh, I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
We're subcontracting the work to our independent contractors.
And then, okay, so how much does a U.S. bookkeeper cost typically?
Sure. So we don't offer two services. We don't offer bookkeeping, and we don't offer coding. My bookkeepers are internal, so they're not actually, I don't make them available to my clients. My international bookkeepers, though, are around $7 an hour. That's kind of the market rate.
Okay, that's okay. Someone asked, can you type your URL? We'll definitely put it in the show notes after the show, but it's FreeeUp with 2 E's.
With 3 E's.
3 E's, sorry.
The 30 is e-commerce.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure you get that question a lot, actually.
I do.
Like, dang it, I gotta get the 2 E's, not the 3 E's. But you actually might want to look into that.
I did. Verizon Wireless owns it.
Oh man. All right. I know a guy in Verizon. No, I'm just kidding. But okay, so where do you see, like, how many VAs are you trying to get into this pool of VAs?
Sure. So it's a constant supply and demand factor, right? Because we don't want to have so many VAs that they're just sitting around without work, but we also don't want to have clients being like, hey, I need this VA and not be able to meet the supply. So, I mean, we're growing pretty rapidly. Last week we built 1,200 hours for our clients. And so, I mean, we've only been in business for 9 months. And we've gotten to 1,200 hours. So we're rapidly expanding. We usually have 5 to 20 clients per week. With workers, it kind of follows the same pattern. I don't have an exact answer for you in terms of goals, but we have room to take on a lot more and a lot more projects. And with my internal team being so good and being able to expand that, it lets me not have to talk to necessarily every client about every situation or every worker about every situation. So I'm all about making businesses so they're scalable over time, and that's all about the infrastructure, the assistance, but also the software and the different processes that are in place.
Very cool. What type of software have you guys manually created that you guys used on your website?
Yeah, so that's our time clock software.
Okay.
I can send you a YouTube video of it. Or if you go to the FreeeUp with 3 E's YouTube channel, there's a video of it right there. There's both the client side and the worker side, so you can kind of see how each one works together.
And you guys probably get this question a lot, but just for my viewers, why would like someone choose you guys over like Upwork and Freelancer and all those major, merged companies?
Yeah, it's a good question. So you can go to any website, Upwork.com, Freelancer.com. There's tons of them out there. You can post a job, get 100 applicants, interview them one by one. But at the end of the day, you're either going to make a good hire or you're going to make a bad hire. And if you make a bad hire, it can really hurt your company. And if you make a good hire and one day they decide to quit, you're right back where you started, interviewing more people again. So what we do is, first of all, we've already vetted these people. We get hundreds of applicants a week, and we only take the top ones to make them available to our clients. On the back end, we're hands-on. We'll help you if you've never hired a VA before, or you want to make it as efficient as possible. And if there's any miscommunication, any disputes, anything like that, me or my assistants, we're there. We've done this a million times. We get involved. We make sure everyone's happy, and we keep you moving forward. And on the very back end, and this is something that makes us unique, is we're insurance for your workers. So our workers rarely quit. It is real life. People do quit jobs. But if our workers ever quit for any reason, we cover all retraining costs. We get you a new worker right away. And we're very hands-on to make sure that you never take a step backwards and you keep moving forward with your business.
Very cool. Okay. My mind just keeps jumping back to like how I'm going to leverage, the manager that will coordinate everybody into their specific positions. Would you say that's more along the lines of the type of clients that you have dealing with, or is it just a single VA that someone's looking for?
Yeah, so that's the other question I get a lot. It's like, what's your typical client? And it's really hard because I don't have a typical client. I have over 250 clients. I have people that'll hire 5 workers for 40 hours a week. I have other clients that'll hire a worker for an hour a month. It really depends. And a lot of them have project managers, but a lot of them don't. And they like dealing with all their workers directly. So it's really up to you. My recommendation is to create a list of all the tasks that you need done on a daily or weekly basis and prioritize them in order from easiest to hardest. And then you can also kind of group them into similar tasks on what would be one VA. So if someone's doing AdWords and maybe they're doing SEO, someone's doing social media, maybe they're also doing content, and kind of divide it up. And then start from easiest and go up to hardest and figure out what you can actually outsource or what you're comfortable outsourcing. And everyone has a different threshold for that. And then when you get that, you can kind of group them into where you need that project manager, what's taking up your time, or what's hard enough that it's worth paying that extra few dollars an hour for an expert. Obviously, you have to factor in your budget as well. And that'll give you a good picture on not only what tasks you can outsource and in what order, but also where you can insert that project manager to really free up your time.
I see how you did that, so you can free up your time. All right, so let's say I only want to get one VA. What would you pick as the most influential or most killer task to do that would skyrocket someone's business?
Again, it's very unique to the client and the business. The best thing I can do is you need to value your own time a lot. So, and you need to figure out how many hours you work a week. If you work 40 hours in your business or 60 hours a week on your business, at some point there's a limit where you can't work more. And then you need to figure out what you spend most of your time doing. And that's where you really want to focus on hiring that VA, because that time that you're spending bulk uploading products on Amazon or responding to customer emails, that's time that you can be seeking out new vendors or finding new products, or maybe creating a website or making it so Amazon's not your sole revenue stream, anything to expand your company rather than doing the day-to-day repetitive operations that you can outsource. So you really want to focus on what's taking up the most time of yours, so that way you can insert the worker there and spend that time doing more expansion.
I remember in our pre-interview talk, you mentioned you were pivoting from Amazon to FreeeUp. What's the reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, my Amazon business still runs. I have workers that do a lot, so most of the work. So there really isn't a big need for me to be in there on a day-to-day basis. I also know that like competition out there is growing. It's not the same as it was when I first started. I'm a big fan of diversifying your business in every different way, whether it's I prefer, for example, to hire 3 different workers and divide up the task rather than hire one and train them to do 3 different jobs, because if that one person quits, then I have to train a new person to do everything. So it doesn't protect your business. But the same thing goes with revenue. If you're dependent on Amazon for your sole revenue stream and something happens either with your vendor or with Amazon or anything like that, then you have no backup, you have no protection. On top of that, I'm also just a serial entrepreneur. I enjoy starting businesses and growing them. And I also really enjoy getting people jobs and different job opportunities. And a lot of the workers that have worked on my own Amazon store that maybe are a little bit more seasonal, because I always stack up before busy season, I enjoy being able to give them to awesome clients and matching up clients with awesome workers. So there's a lot of reasons, both on the business side and the personal side, on why to start another company, but also why to have alternate revenue streams besides just Amazon.
Yeah, I think that's one of like our biggest fears. Like the Amazon line gets cut, and then you're stuck with 0 income stream for the moment being.
Yeah, I mean, we offer a bunch of side services, and one of them is suspension appeal, and we help people get unsuspended every week. And I mean, that's their entire business. We have clients who've worked on Amazon for 4 years. One day they wake up and their account's suspended, and I mean, we're pretty good at getting them unsuspended, but at the same time, it's kind of a wake-up call for them, being like, hey, like you need to spend your time expanding your company and getting different revenue streams rather than just doing the same thing every day and hoping that Amazon doesn't cut you off.
What kind of things do you guys do for getting someone unsuspended?
Yeah, I mean, we have people on our team, including me, that are experts on Amazon account health and metrics and writing appeal letters. The way that we work is we will review your account. We have a worker that will actually go into your account. They'll look up every performance notification you've ever gotten. They'll go through your inventory. They'll go through customer communications. They'll create kind of a basic outline with a ton of information. I'll take that outline and turn it into a better outline that's more in what Amazon's looking for in terms of structure. And then I pass that over to my professional writer who will actually write up the appeal. And then we work with the client to submit it to Amazon. And if Amazon will either A, unsuspend them, or B, usually provide some kind of feedback on anything else that's needed, and we'll kind of go back to the drawing board and add it. But we've had a lot of success, and past success does not guarantee similar outcome, but we're pretty good at getting people unsuspended.
So basically, you don't really recommend people to do the unsuspension letters themselves. Just, I feel like when that happens, like someone's probably gonna be extremely emotional, you know, and that might be like the worst time to actually submit that appeal. You know, I think like the way I look at it is if I ever got suspended, I would, you know, send it off to someone else, and just because I think I would write the appeal different from someone who is unemotionally attached to it, and just sends a logical, you know, detailed outline based pretty much what you're saying, you know, just backed with a lot of, you know, support that this would never happen again. Here's what we're doing to you know, fix what issues happen.
Agreed. You also have to look at it as sometimes you only get one chance to write a good appeal. Like hire a professional, even if it's not me. There's plenty of other people out there, some that charge more, some that charge less, and get an expert to write it, because if you write a bad one or you don't know what exactly Amazon's looking for, then it might be your only chance. And once they permanently block you, I mean, that's 99% of the time that's it. So hire an expert to do stuff that you only get one shot to save your entire company. That's my mentality.
How much do you charge for that?
We charge $250 up front and $250 if we get you unsuspended.
Okay, I've heard of someone else charging around $500 too.
There are places out there that charge $2,500.
So it's all over the place.
Yeah.
The funny thing is when someone gets suspended, it's actually like it doesn't matter how much money it takes to get unsuspended, because being suspended is actually a lot of money in itself that you're losing every day. Especially some of the sellers I'm talking to are pulling, like yourself, are pulling $5 million a year. So what is that a month? It's divided by 12. Is that?
You put me on the spot with math right there.
200,000 a month, I think, right?
Yeah, it varies. We're between like
math is on point.
$4 to $8 million a year.
Cool. All right. Anyways, yeah, I don't like to put you on the spot like that. Sorry.
I mean, what were we talking about? The suspension. So
what kind of toys do you buy?
What kind of toys do I buy? I just bought a condo in Orlando.
Oh, cool. I live in Naples, by the way.
Oh, awesome. We should meet up.
Yeah, we should meet up. I'm more south of you, so. Yeah, tragic about the thing that just happened.
Yeah, that was like 15 minutes from my place.
Yeah, my girlfriend's brother lives over there too, so.
That's crazy.
But anyways, okay. Is there anything that I didn't talk about yet?
Yeah, so real quick just about FreeeUp. It's easy to sign up, 3-step process. You fill out a questionnaire so we have your contact information. You sign a document saying you won't try to steal our workers and you'll actually pay for the work. And then 3 is just setting up a payment method, which is easy, either a PayPal retainer or a credit card on file. And then we also have a great referral program. Anyone that puts David's name gets a 10% off any workers they hire from us. And if you refer your friends, you get 50 cents for every hour we bill to them forever. So maybe you're not ready for a VA, but you know someone that is. We have a lot of clients that get either free workers from us because it comes right off their invoice, or if they're not a current client, we pay out every 2 weeks. And that referral program has been a huge hit since we launched it a few months ago. So feel free to tell people about FreeeUp. I love meeting with people and other sellers and business owners. So if you're not sure if you need a VA and you just want to talk strategy and bounce some ideas off each other, feel free to contact me and set up a 30-minute meeting. I'm always available to my clients or potential clients.
Do you have any physical employees like at like an office, or is it like how's that?
I do not have any physical employees with an office. I do
Nice.
have people that live very close to me, but they're allowed to work remotely.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things people are like struggling with. Like you could do the office with employees, have everybody come to your office, or you could, do the outsourcing and not pay the crazy taxes that come with employees.
It also depends on your business model. If you
Yeah.
if you need like a warehouse or you need people there, yeah,
Do you guys,
it depends.
all right, I don't know, do you guys supply, because one of the things I have is I also need like local employees. I don't know, do you have people that do like packaging work and stuff like that?
I do. I have people that do packaging work. I don't provide like on-call or on-site employees that'll come to your office, but I do have people that you can send your products to either from you or directly from your manufacturer. They're very familiar with Amazon and FBA. They do this all the time. They'll package and ship your products for you.
What's their hourly cost? Do you know?
They do it by pallet, so I don't have them off the top of my head. I can send you some pricing that you can post, but it also depends on the volume and different things like that. And usually the clients that use them also use them for listing products like SEO and running their AdWord campaigns, and that would be more hourly. So it really depends on what you're trying to do. And they give discounts for bulk, obviously, so it's not necessarily set up for someone who's going to ship once every 3 months or anything like that.
Very cool. Where do you see this all going?
Yeah, I mean, FreeeUp has grown so rapidly in 9 months. 9 months ago, I literally had one client. So it's been crazy. I think that we can expand and really compete with the Upworks of the world and be that alternative. Because if you want to go and post your own job, that's great. And I tell my clients that all the time. Like, you can probably find a cheaper worker if you look hard enough, as long as you're prepared for the back end of training them and having no insurance if they quit and stuff like that. And there are plenty of clients that I have that use both my workers and they have these great workers they found on Upwork or other sites that they've been working with for years. But I want to provide that alternative that's more of a hands-on approach to let people decide whether they want to do it themselves or use a company like FreeeUp.
No, that's awesome. I mean, for me, the last podcast was actually all on automation, and virtual assistants and remote workers. It's kind of like automating your business because you're not touching it as much anymore. And one of the things I've been doing is I'm a developer myself. I code, but I also have a team of developers too. And in that area, there's a project manager for some of the developers. So there's a lot of different things going on that I fully, can't touch every aspect of it. But so I can totally see how armies of VAs can like literally grow the business like exponentially.
Definitely. And we have a lot of clients that we're focused on e-commerce. So I have plenty of clients that aren't even on Amazon, but then I have these random clients that do real estate or they own a manufacturing company and they don't have that much to do with e-commerce. And it helps them a lot as well because they have all this software and this data entry or busy work that they need to get someone in there as well. So no matter what your business is, there's always a way to automate it either through software or virtual assistants or usually a combination of both.
Awesome. Well, it was awesome talking to you, Nathan. Thanks for coming on the show. Also, we give you free lifetime VIP for spending time with us, so we do appreciate your time.
Thanks, David.
And we'll have all your stuff in the show notes, so if anybody is curious about the website URL, because it is spelled with 3 E's, not 2. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in live. David Aladdin, Nathan Hirsch, out.
Thank you. Bye.